Hello and welcome to Pods Like Us. I'm Martin Quibble, known to my friends as Marv, and today I'm joined by my two friends, Dave from Decibolic Podcast and Gil from the Mindbuzz. How are you guys?
Doing great, Marv. Thanks for having us on today.
Thank you very much. Hey, Gil. How you doing?
Marv, I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And thanks, guys, for listening.
Thank you. So what memories of Christmas have you got, Dave?
Oh my gosh, memories of Christmas. Occasionally my cousins who lived over in Ohio at that time, no, they lived in, either Ohio or West Virginia. I think it was Ohio at that moment. They moved around a lot. Them coming to town, a lot of time with my mom's side of the family. My parents built a house when they moved to northern Michigan, and they bought the land off of my grandmother, my mom's mom. So literally she was like 100 yards away from my house growing up, the original house that my mom grew up in. So we'd spend a lot of time there with family coming in, and they'd all come back. So I was doing that sledding. That's definitely something that my kids haven't gotten to enjoy as much. But being able to get outside and do sledding parties with them, that was always a big thing. Just generally enjoying, the winter.
Not sledding to the degree of Clark Griswold, though.
Oh, no. Definitely not that. Not anywhere near a National Lampoon for sure. Although on one of my birthdays, because my birthday is in January, I did manage to, and I'll set this up. My dad has always cut wood to heat our house with. So we always had nice cherry woods or ash trees or something that had fallen over, and he would go out or ones that had just died. And so he'd fall them, and then we'd cut them up, log them, and bring them back home for firewood. And we have these huge stacks outside back of the house. And one of the ways to get to our house, we had a dirt path that came down the hill that had been swept out, where my dad would drive his truck down. And in the wintertime, that would be the perfect sledding area. And it would go right between all of the stacks of wood that my dad had made during the summer and the fall. And one year on my birthday, I zigged when I should have zagged. And the next thing I remember is I'm waking up on the couch and inside the house. I ran into one of the piles of wood. So that's not quite a Clark Griswold, but that was my snafu when I was in the first grade. And I'm sure that's probably what made me decide that being a musician was like the best thing on planet Earth. Now, let's see. Yeah, just enjoying time with my family. It's really the big thing. I'd get to see a lot more of my extended family, cousins, aunts, and uncles that I wouldn't see during other times of the year. That was always a lot of fun for me, especially being pretty much an only child until I was 15.
Yeah.
Having people come around is like, hey, stay longer, please.
I remember that when I was 10 or somewhere around that age, we moved somewhere because my mum and dad had separated and divorced at this point. So my mum moved to this house, and we moved there. And within about the first 1 or 2 years, I didn't know this until after the first 1 or 2 years that we'd been there, and then I found out that that's where my grandparents had lived. Well, they'd lived at the next door house. At the point when my mum was born, they lived there, and we moved into that house that was next door to where they lived. And my mum was actually born in that house next door, and so was my uncle.
Yeah, and that's what happened with me. My mom and my uncles had all grown up in that other house, just down from where my parents built the house I grew up in.
What state is this?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Mostly confusion, but really Michigan.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of snow up there, right?
Yeah. Especially when you get farther north, when you get Cadillac and above on the west side of the state. Once you get up that point, that's where you get a lake effect. That's between like Green Bay and in Michigan. Green Bay, Wisconsin, Michigan. There's a ton of lake effect that starts happening in that area, and
Really?
really get pelted. Like they had snow. Oh, they've had snow for at least a week in Traverse City, and we got a light dusting just before Thanksgiving here, and that's been it so far.
Really?
Yeah. How about you? Where are you at?
I'm actually in Southern California, in a little town called Chino, California. We're just about a half hour from downtown Los Angeles. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just about like 30 to 45, I wouldn't say. That's without traffic. With traffic, it takes about like 2 to 5 hours.
I was gonna say about 3 hours. I've been in Anaheim for the NAMM show a few times. So
yeah, it's pretty bad. But I mean, when there's nobody on the road, then it's fine. Like I don't mind it. My girlfriend lives out in Long Beach, California, so I make like 30 to 40 minutes. So it's not too bad. I get used to it. I don't like downtown. Downtown, there's really nowhere to park. That's kind of my pet peeve about downtown Los Angeles. There's nowhere to park. That and then all the pee smell. So it's not that bad. It's not.
Minus that last part. It sounds like when I had to go to Chicago for trips for business. You do not park, and then you'll find the one place that has their own parking. That's very kind to you and will validate your parking so you can park in their garage.
Wow. Yeah, so you what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Gil, what memories do you have of Christmases past?
Christmas. You know what, Marv, I've had some, like, you mean like in my own? Like,
yeah, from when you were younger, when you were a child, or from how were you brought up, traditions and things like that, and like any really nice memories from when you were younger of Christmas.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was definitely a great time. Like my mom, she loved to bake. So always like Thanksgiving, Christmas, she always bake goodies for everybody. So that's how I remember it. And my dad, they did the whole like lights and stuff. And there was parties always at my house when I was younger. Definitely. Yeah. What's the traffic like out there and where you're at?
Here it's rural. It's easy. I mean, it's, I live not far from Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is one of the bigger cities in Grand Rapids. Mm-hmm. But it's a little big city.
Got it.
Yeah, I avoid downtown Grand Rapids, but everything around it is great. Traffic is average. I mean, it's not bad. If you're 17 miles from someplace, it's going to take you maybe 25 minutes to get there. So yeah.
Not too bad.
And there's plenty of connectors for like a US 131 or for like 96 or 94, some of the main veins that take you out of Michigan and into Indiana or Ohio. They're really easy to get on around here. So that definitely speeds up the pace of traffic going through the area.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's public transportation?
Oh, no. That's just, highways, U.S. interstates or highways that go through that are really easy to get onto from where I live.
Got it. What about you, Marv?
I'm sorry.
Are you
about
I was enjoying the Dave and Gil show there. I work closely to where I live. I work within. I can drive to work in under 5 minutes, so
Really?
I don't get that much of a problem with that. But then again, I drive for a living as well, so I go to work and then I get into another vehicle and drive in that for 12 and a half, 13 hours, and then drive back home. And yeah.
So you're just in a car.
That's what I used to do.
Yeah, in a van.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I wasn't in a plane, I was in a car. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I worked for a company that built pro audio equipment. I was one of their road dogs.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So the plus side was I had a lot of great equipment to use while I was with them. The downside is when I was done, so was the equipment. So I had to go out and buy everything again.
Oh, man. Wow.
Good times.
Yeah, my memories of Christmas would be we used to always get together every year at my grandma and granddad's, and we'd the whole family, cousins, and everybody would get together, and there'd be food out like you'd have like bits of cake or all sorts of like nibbly food items, and the whole family, they'd be there. There'd be about 30 children. Those poor people that had to put up with us as kids, all that many children. Terrible.
Wow.
Like I said, that everybody, because my grandma and granddad, they had 6 children, and then they all had children as well. So it was quite something, yeah. And then they had this garden out the back where they had tables next to each other, and would all sit at these tables eating, and yeah, very cold when it was snowing, but you could hardly be inside the house because there wasn't enough room for everybody inside. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's nice to have a big family like that. That's super. Yeah, my cousin, she posted, something on like Facebook or whatever. I don't know, Instagram, and she took a picture of my aunt's kids, and she has 21 grandchildren.
Wow. And
I was like, whoa, because I looked at the picture and I was like, okay, like that's a lot of people in the they had a great party or whatever. So I was looking at the photo, and then like I zoomed in a little bit more, and like it was all like my younger cousins. And I was like, whoa, like my cousin's kids. And I think that makes me like their, I don't know, kind of uncle or something, maybe. Who knows? Anyways, I seen all, and I started counting them. I was looking at them and I was like, there's a lot of people in here. So I started counting. I was like, 21. Wow, that's a lot of children, and they're young. They're like really young, and from my 4 different cousins. So those were all my cousins' kids. And like I thought about it, I was like, whoa, my aunt has 21 grandchildren. That's crazy. And I look at it, and my grandma, like her mother, only had 4. You know what I mean? Like 4 kids. So that's, I don't know, 4 and then to 21. That's just nuts. That's crazy. It just blew my mind. And you're saying 30, and I was like, "Whoa, that must be great."
Yeah, this will go out, and then I'll probably have family listening, and they'll get back to me and say, "No, there weren't that many, really. You're just remembering it wrongly," which is it could be that way.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think there was about a total of 21 people on either side of my parents. When we'd go to one of the houses too. I know on my mom's side, there could be anywhere from between 14 to 20 of us. And we would all be in this little house that wasn't big enough for 20 people. It was like the Volkswagen event of houses. How many people can you fit inside this place? I was always amazed at how many. And then, of course, there was still a Christmas tree and a fireplace in that.
How many people can you fit into Herbie?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still baffled at how we made that happen back then. And my on my dad's side there, how my grandparents on that side didn't have much bigger of a house, and there could be, again, 16 to 21 people for that Christmas event as well.
Right.
I just think about that. I'm like, wow, that is nuts. Like, and it's bad enough when I have like 4 more people come to our house.
Uh-huh.
But it's strange because now the way that I am now, because I always work, I had last Christmas off. I think it was the first time I had Christmas off in nearly 20 years, I think. But that it's strange how things change like that. So I almost miss those times in a way. So, I think now I always try at Christmas to contact those people just to let them know, make sure that they're okay and that. And it's a strange thing, really, to be able to still try and keep that family, keep in touch with each other, but in the way that things are nowadays, where unfortunately you have to work or something. It's a difficult thing to try and work around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. From the time that I was 17 until 4 years ago, I always worked Black Friday.
Yeah.
And I always worked Christmas Eve, and I always worked the day after Christmas, and almost always worked New Year's Eve. So, yeah. Wow.
I think last year I gave myself some like out time. So like I had one of my subordinates like kind of take over, because I'm in the event business, and at an event venue. So we had an event going on from, I think it was like mid-October all the way to like January 6th.
Wow.
Exactly. So that was like Thanksgiving. That was New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. So they were open like 7 days, 6 days a week, pretty much. And I think the event only had one day that it was closed.
Wow.
So other days it just kept on going, and it was constant. It was crazy. But I gave myself some off time for the holidays. So that was, and prior to that, I was always working since for about a good like 10 to 12 years, I want to say. No, not having Thanksgiving off. Like I would get off early, probably off of work, but I've always had to work on those days. So it was kind of nice.
Right. Yeah. I imagine
too.
Oh, go ahead. Say that again.
No, I said, especially this year too, I'm going to have it off because, our venue's closed. So.
Right.
Wow. A positive from a pandemic.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know this is the longest stretch that I have been home for consecutive days in about 3.5 years myself. So that's been one of the plus sides. The other plus side is getting everything going with the podcast here and being able to do shows like this. So that's been a lot of fun for me to stretch and see what happens and take it wherever it goes to. But yeah, it's also kind of odd because, in regards to meeting with all those family people and having done that for either Thanksgiving and or the holiday season, Christmas season, the way my family grew up, that's something that's not happening this year. It's just going to be us.
Yeah.
So we had to do that for Thanksgiving. My sister and her husband weren't able to come to Thanksgiving this year simply because her husband's job didn't want him traveling unnecessarily,
right?
Just in case. And my parents were up north, and just before, around the time that we were making plans to possibly go up to see them, the cases started escalating in their area. So things were locking down, and it was, with my parents being, on the older side, that was becoming a concern. It's
Right.
like, oh, that's understandable. So yeah, so it is different this year. It's like, hey, do you understand how to use Zoom?
I think it's changed everybody's lives completely. It's taken what you thought was real and going on in the world and suddenly turned it upside down and gone, well, actually, no, this is how it's got to be for the time being. I think that's done that to everybody, I think.
Yeah. Somehow a world filled with drones and projecting images, holograms, doesn't seem like such a bad thing.
No.
That's the next step. But I think we're getting there. We're getting there. Definitely.
I think on the other side, it's interesting in a way where the take from this could be that because people have got used to the way that these things are and doing things like this, perhaps then they can take that and make their lives different, but possibly in a good way. I don't know. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so. That's a great way to put it, Marv. Like a lot of, things are changing, like outside, like definitely are changing. So might as well change with it. I like that. That's great, Marv.
I mean, I like these images of people who are, because it's almost like they're talking to each other a lot more now. And I'd like it to be that when this is over with, that people will still keep that communication with people, and hopefully in a way, almost because it's kept families apart from visiting each other because you're in lockdown or you're in a tier system or whatever, whichever country you're in. I think it's sort of almost pushed people to contact families even more in a lot of cases. And I think that's a good thing that comes from it, because hopefully that will carry on and people will go, well, even though this is all over now and we're not in the pandemic, I'll Zoom you on this day every week, or I'll chat with you every week at this time. And maybe it's, I'm trying to be hopeful with this and positive with that.
Agreed. Yeah, I see the opportunity for a lot, even with the holidays, and even with special days where traditions are coming back to it. In the little things like greeting cards, and the annual holiday portrait being more important to send out to friends and family. Even more so now, because there isn't that one-to-one ability like there was. I know when emails became really popular, my dad and I both got our online greeting card places in place. So, we'd send out electronic greeting cards rather than sending something through the mail. And pretty soon those kind of went by the wayside in favor of just little chats and stuff. But, you miss that tangible touch, that thing you can hold on to. So with that, the greeting cards, like this year, we did a family portrait, and I did the quick Photoshop, swap the background out and make it look really nice. And we stuck that on about 30 pieces and sent those out to friends and family all across the States and Canada and even the UK.
Oh, wow.
That's a lovely idea. I like that idea. Yeah.
Really? Yes. Christmas cards, huh? And a photo of your family, correct?
Yeah, because I can see the logic in that, because you can't actually go around and visit these people. If you've taken a photograph of yourself and you've got it as like a portrait that you send out as almost like a card to family, it's almost like you're sending yourself out there, but in that way.
Yeah,
exactly. And that little, even though it's a piece of paper or whatever, it's something tangible, something they can hold, they can look at. They don't have to, turn something on and wait 30 seconds or figure out where it is in their photo roll on their device and say, okay, now where's that picture? I want to look at it again, or even just forget about it or accidentally delete it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got something they can just, the good old fridge magnet, and there it is, whenever they want to look at it.
Or not even save it in their phone.
Right.
Like when, you can send people, pictures, but it doesn't, do they save them? Like
true.
But some people do, some people don't. I don't know, but no, that's a super idea. I know a lot of my family have been asking for my address, and I'm like, why do you want my address for? And they're like, oh, I want to send you a Christmas card. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
This is where I live, so yeah, it's great. I like how this time pushing everybody to be a little bit more more sensitive and trying to be more a little bit more connected than just a phone or an email or a Facebook post or an Instagram post. It brings a little bit more to the connection. Definitely. Between humans. It's awesome.
Marv, it seems that your holiday video, your Christmas video episode is now morphed into a Christmas traditions episode.
That is exactly what I've been leading us towards. Well spotted, that man. We'll make an expert podcaster out of you yet.
Oh, every now and then even a blind squirrel can find a nut, so...
Oh, man.
Oh, I've got to remember that one.
Blind squirrel.
So, what are you planning on doing then this Christmas then, Dave, to keep some semblance of sanity?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said earlier, we did the photo photoshops and got those sent out. My wife has done a little app, something about some Secret Elves app or something where it randomly picks a person for you to send a gift to. I've got some friends who have talked about doing a bourbon exchange, and I've got to see where that's at. Where again, you commit to buying a bottle, and they'll give you a name of who you get to send it to once you've picked it, and just some things just to spread some cheer around, some more tangible things like that with people that I can't get in touch with, and hopefully even the same process, get a chance to say hello to people that I haven't gotten to hardly ever. So there's that part. We decorated during the Thanksgiving weekend. We decorated the house for Christmas. Got out the tubs and put up our little 7-foot tree in the front of the house, right in our little picture bay window area. Watched the girls get that all strung up and put up the stockings. Just try to make it as normal as possible. Although it's, like I said, it's been a bonus this year because usually on a Tuesday, I have either left or or a Monday, excuse me. I've either already left or I'm on my second day of travel on the road for the company I was with. So this year it's been nice to be home, and I think it throws my kids off a little bit because like, wow, you're still here. So getting some more intentional time to spend with them and spend with my wife that I've just honestly haven't had for a few years. I mean, it's been nice because normally I'll get the week before and the week after Christmas off, and I'll still had Thanksgiving to be home. But outside of that, I was on the road 90% of the year. So this year, one of the big gifts for my wife, she has said, is me being present and being able to do some things. So she gets home, she doesn't have to figure out what's happened, what hasn't happened, who needs to eat. I've taken over the duty of that, and I've become the perfect little housewife in her stead. So I've just enjoyed that, more time with my older kids who are now adults. One of them still lives with us, and the other one is slowly spreading his wings and inching further and further from the house.
Got it.
What about yourself, Gil? What are you planning to try and keep your sanity over Christmas this year? While you're stuck in, the way that, because what lockdowns have you got over there? Is it still full lockdown in California?
No, actually, we just started this week. We got a stay-at-home order, and I think it's the whole state, or maybe our county. I was looking up that earlier, but I think it's the county. No, it's state. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's state. So
Okay.
it's a statewide stay-at-home order, and it's kind of crazy because like there's a lot of counties that are not abiding by the stay-at-home order, and they're just like refusing. They're like I would read like news headlines, and they'd be like Orange County not abiding by the stay-at-home order. So like public, people are going to be, reading that and just not, that. But anyway, as far as me, I'm going to be at home with my son, and we decorated the house. And you know what? I haven't even decorated and it's been years since I decorated for Christmas, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice, and my son gets all excited. We watched The Grinch the other day, and he was asking me all these questions about The Grinch, and then we just talked about Christmas and what Christmas is all about, and it was great. Like it's a fun time. Definitely. That's how I'm staying sane. Just trying to put a lot of energy into what the Christmas spirit is all about, and giving and trying to, talk to people, reach out to them, see what's going on, and in general, it's trying to stay positive, pretty much, in spite of what's going on. But just that little guy, and just decorations, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. We played Christmas music. He wanted to play his other stuff, but I was like, no, we're playing Christmas music when we're decorating. I don't know. I think that's like the coolest thing ever. Do you guys do that? I don't know. Do you guys do that?
Yeah, we definitely play Christmas music while we're putting decorations up. Well, it's got to be done, and then you eat the Christmassy food, don't you? As well, while you're doing it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we got some cookies. We're making some cookies, decorating lights. He was right there. I was standing on a chair, putting up the lights around the. I went crazy. I went like crazy at the grocery store buying all these lights. So I still have some in the boxes too. I need to put some more up.
So what Christmas music were you listening to then, Gil?
Let's see. Definitely. Let's see. Jingle Bell Rock.
Okay.
Definitely that one. Jingle Bell Rock, and a lot of Michael Bublé.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have Michael Bublé.
Mr.
Bit of the Bublé
himself nowadays. Yep.
And actually, one of my favorites is Rock and Roll Rudolph, I think it's called, by what's that guy's name? He does Johnny Be Good. I don't know why his name is
Chuck Berry.
Now. Yeah, Chuck Berry.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and actually, the Beach Boys have like a full-on Christmas album, which I feel like crazy. Like that's amazing. Like you just dedicate like a whole album to a holiday. That's pretty cool.
Gil, you need to listen to the previous episode that me and Dave did. Your knowledge of Christmas songs will go up no end.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. I have a scattered page filled with notes of songs that I was not familiar with that they really seem to like, and I'm like, oh, okay, like David Essex, only a Writer's Tale,
Winter's Tale, yeah.
Stop the Cavalry. is another one that I have to check out now. Yeah, I mean, I've got little smatterings all over this page. They're upside down and sideways of things that I have to check out that I've never listened to.
Yep.
Yeah, just some really fun stuff there.
And I'm very happy that Dave mentioned the Chipmunks Christmas song, of course.
Oh yes, definitely. I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah, no, for me that was a staple growing up. I remember my dad. That was the official start of Christmas in my house as a kid, when my dad would pull that out, dust it off, and throw it on the record player.
Nice.
It's almost like he's talking to you directly when he says Dave. Which version of the Grinch did you watch then, Gil? Was it the Chuck Jones one?
No, I watched the latest one that came out in 2000.
Pixar one, yeah. Was it Pixar or no?
Yeah, no,
the Ron Howard one.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I watched that one with Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
Oh yes, yeah. There's been another one since then by the people, and it's not Pixar. It's the people who did. What did they do? Despicable Me, the Minions people.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a version by them, and it's got Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Doctor Strange. He does the voice, I think. Does he?
Really?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Netflix now, I believe, as well. Yeah, because I think that same production company did the Horton Hears a Who a few years back as well.
Right.
Back in 2008.
That'll yeah, the graphics look similar, so that makes a lot of sense that they would do it like that. And I think, and yeah, you know what? On the Minions, the animation looks pretty close to the Grinch cartoon. I only watched it for like 5 minutes, the Grinch cartoon, but we watched fully the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Ron Howard film. That one was pretty intense. Like, Marv, you were telling me that we were gonna do the like a Christmas kind of film, so I chose that, and my son didn't want to watch that for the life of me. I don't know why, but he did not want to. And I was like, "Come on, we'll watch this. We'll eat some cookies. We'll hang out and we'll watch it." And he heard cookies, so he was like, "You know what? You're not too bad. You're not too bad, Dad. I'll watch it with you."
In that case, you need to find yourself a copy of the Sesame Street Christmas Carol, then, don't you? And then you'd have, the Cookie Monster on there and everything.
Probably. But I have some great notes on that one, the Grinch. It's such a great tale, and when you start to like look like at like the subtext in the film, like what is this film trying to teach you, other than there's a Grinch and he doesn't like Christmas. But when you start to like break down like the whole story, like it's appealing. I don't know, it's appealing.
Yeah, there's nobody else that writes like Dr. Seuss. Like Dr. Seuss is just there's an individual style about him that nobody else has got that sort of feel or touch that he has with writing stories for children or well, for everybody really.
He talks about, like, if you really break it down, like he talks about some pretty current stuff, like societal problems. Like I don't know most of his stories, but the stories that I have really like listened to, like the Lorax for one, I mean, about like a person that doesn't want you to cut down trees, and he's into the earth, and a kind of like it's a stab to capitalism, kind of. I mean, I don't know, that's what I drew out of it. And Dr. Seuss is amazing, especially with the Grinch. If you really like break it down, the Grinch, he was totally different from anybody that was in town. He was a different color if you really think about it. Everybody else was, white, and he was the only green person. You know what I mean? So that's what I looked at. And then also, I don't know if this is true or not. I have to read the go back to the book and look at it, but I don't know if Ron Howard put his parents as two females to kind of create a spark in the book or the story, but he had two moms. If you look at it, when I was all the other parents were like mom and dad, and mom and dad, but the Grinch's family, he had two females as the people that adopted him and helped him grow up.
Okay.
What I seen in the movie.
I mean, it's interesting because what one strange bit of trivia is the fact that I heard that him and Stan Lee from Marvel Comics, they were both in the same unit in the army back in I think Korea or wherever it was, and they both written things where they put these almost social conscience into these stories, like Stan Lee did with the comics and Dr. Seuss did with the books.
Right.
These morals and these social points across, but they used to do it in such a way where it'd be almost ignored because people would think, well, it's just a story or whatever. And the same as Star Trek always used to put things in episodes where they used to broach a subject, but because it was sci-fi, people used to just think, yeah, just put it out. And they didn't realize that it was actually something completely different. And it's strange how Dr. Seuss and Stan Lee used literature to get that across.
Yeah, he Dr. Seuss, in the Grinch, there's just so many layers to the film and honestly to the book also. So I mean that he wrote that thing with great intention. There's intention in his writing, definitely, about that.
Yeah.
That movie. And he added, a world tradition like Christmas to kind of amplify his story, which was another bonus. So great writing, definitely, from Dr. Seuss.
Absolutely. So, okay then, since we were all expecting there to be a film-based show, which is still hopefully going to happen, I bet we've all written out 5 films that we have to watch at Christmas. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, go on then, Gil. What were the 5 films that are your absolute must-watch films?
Must-watch. Okay, definitely The Grinch. National Lampoons. Let's see. You know what? Those two. And there's this other film. I can't remember the life of me what it was called. I gotta look it up and pull it up. But it was about this kid getting shot in the eye. A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. A Christmas Story and an Elf with Will Ferrell.
Yes.
It's a comedy. I like to watch a lot of comedies during Christmas season.
Okay. Have you got a fifth one as well, Gil? Because that's 4. Have you got a 5th?
Oh, we're doing. Let's see, one more. Let me throw it out.
Make 5.
See if I can make 5. How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Okay.
That's fair.
That's 2 Grinch films. Okay.
Honestly, I couldn't think of another one. So those are the ones I watch.
That's brilliant.
Let's see. What about the Scrooge with the very, very, very like older one that was like made in the 60s? That used to scare me as a child. I don't know why.
Oh, the 1970 one with Albert Finney. The
No,
musical.
it was the I think it came out in the 80s
Oh, I know which one you mean. With George C. Scott?
with is he's an actor or is that a director?
That's the actor. Yeah.
No, it was definitely a comedy. And I don't that
Are
doesn't
you thinking of Scrooged with Bill Murray?
Scrooged.
That's it. Scrooged. Yep.
Exactly. It used to scare the heck out of me, but I still watched it during Christmas. No lie. I think it was because like all the ghosts that were in that movie. Like I'm the ghost of Holiday Pass, and I'm like, does this really happen? I was like 8 or 9 thinking about it, and if I'm this bad when I grow up, is there gonna be people to come haunt me from my past? I think that's where I was. That's where my mind was when I was like 8 or 9 watching that film. But now I think about it, it's just a funny movie with Bill Murray.
I think it's one of those ideas, the whole A Christmas Carol / Scrooge. I think it's one of those ideas where it can easily be made in, there's various different versions of the film, but the wonder of it is that it's a perfect story that that will constantly be interesting to people. It's not one of those even though it's based at a certain point in time in the original story, it can be reinterpreted in so many ways. I think it's because it's got those parts in it that are so perfect in the original outline of the story. It's almost like a Philip K. Dick book. You can make that so many ways into a film. But I think you've got the same there, where you've got these ideas like the Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, Ghost of Future, this like that. I think it can be used in, and I think that's why it's so good, is because it's a story that is just a perfect idea.
Exactly, and it's the overall message that is, and a general message that works in any culture. I think. I don't know. It could be, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah.
So, Dave, what are your top 5 then, Dave?
Sure. So for me, the one that you mentioned earlier, the 1970 Albert Finney Scrooge. I remember watching that when I was a kid, and that, especially the Ghost of Christmas Future, that was just an eerie picture to me. It always stuck in my head.
Yes. Yep.
So that one would be 5th. For me, 4th would be A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yep.
Giving the nod to that great old cartoon where he's trying so hard to find out everything about the spirit of Christmas, and he's got this little tree that, in the end just is nothing but a pile of needles. Hopefully I didn't ruin that for anybody out there.
Spoiler
alert.
You've spoiled it for me. I'm about to admit I have never seen A Charlie Brown Christmas, and I would really love to at some point.
I'm gonna go back and watch that. Definitely, I haven't watched that in a very long time. That's a very good one. Charlie Brown Christmas.
Number 3 then, Dave?
Number 3 is a favorite of my girls to watch, and that is Nightmare Before Christmas, the stop animation movie done. I think it was Tim Burton, I believe, who made that one. The Misadventures of Jack Skellington, who is the Pumpkin King, bored with his annual routine about Halloween. So he accidentally stumbles on Christmas Town. And the plot is that he wants to bring Christmas under his control by kidnapping Santa Claus and taking over. But then he has some things that go seriously awry, and it gets to be quite funny. Danny Elfman of Oingo Boingo and of composition fames is the voice of Jack Skellington himself.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty neat. And
he did voice for him. Nice.
Yeah,
he did the voice. He did the voice and the singing. Yeah, Danny Elfman. Yeah,
and he did all the music for that too, right?
Yes. And then a leadway from that, which is a lady who's been very popular, an actress who's recently gotten a recent push again in her career from the television show done on Canada and then on pop television, Schitt's Creek. Catherine O'Hara, she played Sally. She was the voice of Sally.
Yep.
And that ties me into the next one, which is Home Alone, where she also plays the mom.
Yes. Yeah.
So going to Home Alone. And the hard one for me was it was a tie, just because I like both of these a lot, but I have to give the nod to Elf with Will Ferrell. That has become a staple that my entire nuclear family, my kids, and my wife and I watch every year. We have to watch Elf. It is not Christmas until Elf has played. So just that whole story and that big-eyed wonder that Will Ferrell's character has, not really knowing what things were like in the real world, and being introduced to them for the first time and trying to understand and grasp what has happened and what things are like where he is versus what he grew up with. So and with saying that, the honorable mention has to go to the Governator himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his movie Jingle All the Way.
We were trying to remember the title of that earlier.
That one's great with Turbo.
Yes, with Turbo Man and
exactly
Sinbad as the antagonist mailman, and the other antagonist being Dan Harmon from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I just an overall fantastic cast throughout the entire thing. We even saw the first time that the young man who went on to play Anakin Skywalker as the son of Arnold in the movie.
Yep.
So
yeah, Jake Lloyd. Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one's definitely a great one, especially with there's no other movies where Sinbad would play the antagonist. So that movie was just awesome. And then Phil Hartman, I mean, he played, if Dave, correct me if I'm wrong on this, or Marv, but Phil Hartman, he played
Phil Hartman, that's
the kid's stepdad, right? Or the boyfriend too.
He was the next door neighbor.
Oh, okay. He was a next door neighbor?
Yeah, he was the next door neighbor in the movie. Because Arnold was always away at the office. You are my number one customer, and remember, you're my number one customer. And here, Phil is the dad next door who is thinking that who doesn't have a wife. He's separated, and he is plotting the demise of Arnold's character to become the head of Arnold's household in his stead, and kind of take over and swoop his wife off of her feet.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's what happened in the as the plot moves along in the movie. And yeah, sorry, I'm just remembering all the things that Arnold's character does, trying to make right by his son, and just about blowing it every turn, but at the end, a huge twist that gives him a place of redemption that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Yeah, Phil Hartman played the part of Ted Moulton, the next-door neighbor, and it had a guest appearance by Martin Mull as a DJ.
Okay.
So a couple of classic actors throughout that movie, in addition to Arnold being Howard Langston and Rita Wilson being his wife, Liz. You even got Jim Belushi in there. Richard Mall, who is better known as Bull from Night Court, plays the bad guy in the character form of Dementor.
Yep. But then again, a lot of Arnold films, I always think there's humor in all of his films. Anyway, I think there's always like a nodding wink almost from him all the time.
Yeah, he's definitely breaking the fourth wall all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it written that way in all of his movies, or he's just like, if a director calls him for a movie, and he's like, I'm not going to do this movie until I get a fourth wall break. That's the final thing. You let me do that, and then I'll do your film. So they wanted the film, so there was his thing, maybe.
So true. Yeah, even when you look at the movies where he's playing it straight, some of his character things come off so dry that they're hilarious. Yes. It's like Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black. He is not a comedian, but just the way he delivers in that movie just made his character even more hilarious than what it might have been otherwise by anybody else portraying it. Yeah, and Arnold gets that, where there's just some parts that are so intense and so serious, and yet he'll pop out a quip or do his famous, the Arnold scream or the Arnold yell. It's like there isn't a good Arnold movie unless there's something about getting to a chopper, that yell, and him saying "I'll be back." Then it's going to be a hit movie.
Yeah.
You gotta have those.
Pardon? What was that, Gil?
Oh no, we have to have those in Arnold Schwarzenegger music, definitely.
Absolutely.
It's not Arnold.
I've got at number 5. I've got, and this is a film. It took me many years to sort of to grab me, and that's It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh yes.
With James Stewart, and it's because of the fact that it sort of reminds you that no matter what's going on with you, that it reminds you that if you're taken out of the equation, in a way, in periods when you're low and you think, you've got no self-esteem, it makes you realize that actually you still mean something to those people, even though you don't think that you are. So I think it's sort of life affirming, and I can understand why. I know in America, in a lot of places, they use it as a way to make people, feel better about themselves, don't they? I think who contemplate suicide or whatever, they'll watch it, won't they, or something? I think I've heard, and
yes,
I've heard that.
Yeah, and in definitely not in taking anything away from It's a Wonderful Life, but that seemed like a masterful retelling of the base model of A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Because you get to see his early life, you get to see his present life, and then you kind of get a quick rewind of, if you hadn't been there, this is what it would be.
Absolutely.
So with that going on, and him not wanting to take, in his view, at points he was taking the low road, but yet in reality, it was the high road that kept everything else from falling apart. And if he hadn't have given, in his eyes, what was a sacrifice at that moment, then the reality for not only him, but for literally the entire town he was in would not have come to be a good resolve.
Yeah. At number 4, I have trouble with this because there's so many films that I watch at Christmas or whatever, but even though I work all over Christmas, I've put down the Santa Claus, the first one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he's got that. Unlike the two that follow it, which I don't mind the second one and the third one, give or take, whatever. But the first one has got that almost magic to it that you'd have in a really good classic family film. In a way, you've just got that thing there, and then you've got the natural humour of Tim Allen as well that just, I think, shines through the film. You've got Tim Allen there. It is absolute best. I think that was when he was the best that he's ever been. I think that was his moment to shine.
Yeah, it was at his prime. I mean, even and we watched him on TV as like the father figure, and to his children on his weekly show.
Home Improvement,
yes. The classic.
Exactly. So, I mean, him coming out at his prime, knowing like his connection with him and his audience doing that movie, I think like that just, blew it up a little bit more and gave the connection between the film and him being Santa Claus, no less.
Yep.
The great, jolly Santa Claus. Tim Allen plays him, and he looks like Santa Claus, and his whole Christmas feel and his one-liners, and like you said, Marv, just the comedy coming from him, like it radiated. So that's a nice one, Marv, definitely.
And agreed. Yeah, Tim Allen, he was really a television actor. That's where he did his best work.
Yeah.
And he would try movies every now and then, but few and far between outside of the voicing he did for Buzz Lightyear really hit. Nothing else hit like the Santa Claus. And it took another 5 years before he really had another movie that blew up for him. And that would be, in my opinion, that have been Galaxy Quest. So yeah, the Santa Claus is an excellent choice.
Definitely. And I would say as an honourable mention, I think Christmas with the Cranks as well is a good film with Tim Allen.
Yeah, based on a book.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes. Yeah. Have you seen that one, Gil? Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks. I think so. A long, long time ago, but I can't remember. The
family are all away, aren't they? The children are all away. So they've decided that they're going to go away for Christmas. So they're not going to do the tree up or put any decorations up, and they've booked tickets to go away somewhere for a holiday.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, about 2 days or so before Christmas, their daughter rings up to say she's coming back over with a boyfriend to have the big enormous family Christmas that they normally have, like the sort of Christmases I was on about, where your whole family's there. And they're like, oh, what we're going to do, we've got all these decorations to pull up, we've got the dinner to do, got to get the ham, get this, that and the other. And yeah, that's what that one's about. So I think that's a good one. We'll mention that one.
And their daughter called on like Christmas Eve. Like how much time did they have to put everything together? And which they did, right? Like, I mean, there was a happy ending at that story.
There was a happy ending at the end. Yeah.
Do you know how long like they had to put everything together? Was it like Christmas Eve? Hey, we're coming over.
Didn't they ring up on the 23rd, the night of the 23rd, and they had to go out on the Christmas Eve shopping to go and buy everything? And
oh wow,
yes.
Oh man, where were they planning to go during Christmas?
Where were they planning to go? Somewhere like Bermuda or something.
Really?
Oh, they were going to go. We're going to go to the Caribbean.
That's it. Yeah, they were going to the Caribbean. Yes. Yeah. Or Caribbean. Yeah.
Really?
Depending on how you say it. Yeah.
For Christmas? That's okay.
Some people.
Yeah, I've only just thought of that one as an honourable mention. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Based on it was Skipping Christmas. That's the John Grisham novel it was based on. Skipping Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bought it for Louise, actually, that book, Dave.
Oh, okay.
For my other half, she's got the book among all these other Christmas books or whatever, so she's got that. My number 3 is actually Elf. Like, I think we've all mentioned Elf, haven't we?
I believe so.
This something. It's a perfect film, and Will Ferrell. I can't even think why they'd even. I couldn't even see anybody else doing that role. It's
exactly.
Zoe Deschanel. I can't imagine anybody else doing that I was surprised actually when we watched a program where they were on about the behind the scenes of it, and they were saying that there were other people put forward before Zoe Deschanel, and then they were surprised because it's like, oh, we can actually get her to sing rather than have somebody singing for her, because it's like they'd not realised that she could sing. And you think, wow, you guys didn't even know that she could sing. I mean,
right.
So she did her own singing in the film.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, because she's got 2 hit Christmas albums as well with her band, with her group, She and Him.
Really?
Yeah, there's 2 Christmas albums that they've done. Yeah, that are really good.
I forgot that. Wow.
Yeah.
I do know one thing.
Yeah.
One, Peter Dinklage was in it. Peter Dinklage did Miles Finch.
Yeah.
He's just an outstanding actor, period. surprised that he hasn't gotten more leading roles. And he's really known, very well known now through HBO's Game of Thrones, of course, as well. That really brought him to the forefront again.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's another movie that was directed by Jon Favreau too.
I think it was his second film directed, because I think he did Swingers, and then that was his second film, I think.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because they were a bit iffy about it, and then he said, mainly about the animation, he said, well, I want it a bit like this classic film, and I forgot what film it was now that they were basing the animation on. And then when he came to them with like these drawings that he'd got and these ideas that he'd got, they sort of said, absolutely, you're the person that needs to direct this film. But yeah, there were so many things. It's up on Netflix if you're interested. There's a series that's only just started. They're releasing one every so often, and the first it's something about how the Christmas movies or something.
How Christmas movies made.
How Christmas movies were made, and how Christmas movies made us. That's it. And the first episode of that is actually about Elf and the story behind it.
That's definitely a Christmas binge.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's my number 2 would be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I've got to have that on. That's got to go on with, that's... I've not seen Community yet, so I would say that that's probably my favourite Chevy Chase role. And that film specifically is my favourite of theirs. I think it's the best vacation film as well. I don't know what's... Yeah, there's something about that that's just... The humour is brilliant, and it's knowing humour as well. There's some bits that you think, oh dear, how did they get away with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in light of today. There's just something just like, what?
You won't be able to do that now with some of these things. And Dave has already mentioned my number 1, which is the Albert Finney 1970 version of Scrooge, Christmas Carol, because it came out the year I was born. And my mum was she still is very much a huge fan of musicals. Like one of her favourite films is Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. So right. she likes it. So she's into the musicals, and so every Christmas that film would come out. Once we got a video recorder, it would come out on the video, and then eventually DVD and whatever else ends up coming. And so I basically watched that film every single Christmas since I was probably 11 or 12, or even younger maybe, because it's been on the television, and the songs I think are perfect. The songs are for it, and I think every single member of the cast is brilliant. Even Jacob Marley, Alec Guinness, and Jacob Marley is just amazing. It's incredible the things that you'll find Alec Guinness in. Even like, Star Wars, he makes that character so well, and he embodies those characters so well as well. He's not like he's being him. He is literally that character, Jacob Marley, and you feel every emotion, like the fact that he feels remorse over how he treated people in life. You can actually see that in the way that he acts it, and you can feel every emotion from every single person in the cast, and I think it's just an incredible film.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from there.
Exactly.
But then you could mention so many different versions of that story, Scrooge.
Gosh, I mean, there's a Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol. Yeah. There's in 1971, there was an incredible animation that came out of A Christmas Carol right after that one.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, I think
Scott in 1984, I think it was.
Just the whole story of Ebenezer Scrooge, like it's very it's very open and it's very current. and it can be used in any kind of text or any kind of, subtext of just, it's the overall message that that gets recycled and recycled, and that's how it's like a true message if it can be recycled any different way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I get from it. And like when there's like different directors and writers use that message and on their platforms, whether it be like in a cartoon, a live action film, a comedy, using comedians, using animation, claymation, or whatever. It's the Charles Dickens. He did a phenomenal job on creating that character. Definitely.
So great with that.
I love the Disney version as well, the animated version with Jim Carrey doing all those voices. I think that's brilliant.
And especially Jim Carrey. I mean, that's Jim Carrey is he's awesome. I mean, like when Pixar uses like Pixar and Disney, they use some of the greatest, like just such great actors to voice their main characters within Disney.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey as a character portraying that, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that the story, that's one of those where you almost can't mess it up. The story is so good. It's just about the opposite of, in a way, it's almost the opposite of Elf. Elf is a fantastic story, but you had to have that right chemistry of all of the actors in play, doing their parts to make it happen, where the story behind A Christmas Carol is that timeless. You can put multiple people in the role, and it's one that people don't get sick of the retelling. It's like, oh, great, here's a remake of this one again. It's like, oh, let's see how this one goes this time. What is their spin on this versus being, how are they messing up the source material? I mean, it's two different complete mindsets when it comes to it.
Right.
Yeah, even if Hallmark do one or two different variations, you might leave that on and go, yeah, all right, I'll leave that on. They can't mess that up. Even they do tip-top versions of it, don't they? Great.
Or even if they do one or two a year.
Absolutely.
I'll give them a chance. I mean, who can mess this up? I'll give them a chance. We'll see.
I'm trying to think of what other versions I've seen of that, but it's the same with the Grinch. There's that many versions. There's that many versions of the Grinch as well that you could watch, all the way from the Chuck Jones one in was it the 50s or the 60s? That version.
Yeah, the cartoon.
Yeah, with that one is brilliant, and with Mel Blanc doing the voices, and
right.
Yeah, and you've got who's that? Oh, famous horror film actor. He does the voice of the Grinch, doesn't he? What's his name?
You're thinking of Vincent Price?
No, I'm thinking of like 40s, 50s, really early horror. Is it Boris Karloff?
Boris Karloff.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, even that's classic. And then, like you said, you've got the live action sort of version with Jim Carrey, and you've got a couple of different cartoon versions of it as well. And even a Christmas Carol. You've got the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And as I've mentioned, even Sesame Street have done a Christmas Carol as well. It just translates in so many ways. Both of those stories do, the Grinch and A Christmas Carol. And before Dave mentioned it, I'd not actually thought about It's a Wonderful Life is another way of looking at A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it is. It's a little different perspective. You've got an outward perspective where A Christmas Carol is based around what's happening to the character himself directly, Scrooge. I mean, it still happens with the character. Do they call him Jimmy, or is that what he calls his brother in the movie? Anyhow, yeah, the main character. It's looked at from the perspective of two angelic beings and they're kind of discussing his life as it goes. But you still have the classic, this is what happened as he was growing up. This is, his problem with his ear that plagued him throughout his life.
Right.
And then you've got, all the things that transpire in the present because of that. You get to the point where he's seriously thinking about, ending it all just to get away from it. And then he gets a glimpse at that moment of what would happen if he wasn't around. This is how it would play out without him, and how important, really, as insignificant or as little as he might have felt, how much of a difference that one toss of a stone makes in the ripple of the water, so to speak, that effect that it had on everything else surrounding it that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
It's like a butterfly effect, isn't it? How
Yes.
one little thing, no matter how small it looks like, it has a growing effect throughout, that grows from that stems from that initial thing, which is what you're saying with, he saved his brother from drowning there, and this is what happened from that.
Yep. Yeah. And his brother was supposed to take over, and instead he goes off to do his thing. And here our protagonist gets stuck with the home chores again, instead of being able to go and do what he wanted. He felt like he had to take that responsibility on. And honestly, he could have left.
Yeah.
But everything would have fallen apart at that moment.
What was I going to say? I'll give a couple of honourable... Well, I've already mentioned the Santa Claus. What I was going to say. Have either of you seen either of the Christmas Chronicles films?
I haven't.
With Kurt Russell?
Yes.
Yeah, my daughter, my youngest, who is 10, couldn't wait for that to come out this year. So
I think the second
one.
I think the second one's actually slightly better than the first. I like them both, but I think the second one's brilliant.
It's got better pacing to it. Yeah. I was really amazed at who they, at who they picked. I really like the fact that Mrs. Claus isn't a sideline character.
Yep, so do I.
Like a main character in the movie.
Yeah, she is in the second one. Yeah, she's a main character, and I love the fact that it's basically, well, they're not married, but a couple playing Mr. and Mrs. Claus. That it's them, because I think they're what I gather from interviews and that. I think their natural chemistry, from them being a couple in real life, I think it's shown in the characters on the film as well.
Right.
Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
I love the fact too that with the second one, without spoiling a single thing, that there's a lot of payoffs that happen in the second movie that are set up in the first one.
Yes. We need to watch the first one again, don't we? I think as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really good payoffs. There's some things like, oh, and that's how that happened. And you're just like, oh, that's really cool. They thought to actually tie that in somehow into the arc of this story.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. There's a lot you could give away about that. You need to watch that, Gil. You'll love both of the films if you watch them in order, 1 and 2.
Okay, I'll put that on my list. Definitely need to see that. Yeah, I'm trying to picture Kurt Russell as Santa Claus.
Sorry.
I'm trying to refrain from going on my phone and trying to search for it, but I'm trying to just imagine it before I see it, so that way I'm not disappointed.
Sure, yeah, not quite Snake Pilsner. Maybe a little bit closer to his character as the truck driver in Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, okay.
Yes, like Jack from that. Yeah.
Yes.
Jack from Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, very much like that. Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a sequel that had nothing to do with the first one come out of that. There's an underrated movie right there, in my opinion.
What about 500? Was it 500 Miles to Graceland? I think Kurt Russell was in that too.
Yes, he is. I haven't seen that. 500 Miles to Graceland. I've not seen that.
That one's awesome.
Yeah.
No, but
Definitely a Kurt Russell movie. Yes. Yeah.
But then Kurt Russell was in This Is Elvis, where he played Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So, yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, you've just mentioned Jack Frost, haven't you, as a mention, starring Michael Keaton. That's a good film.
In.
Yep. And the late Kelly Preston. Yeah.
What did you think of that one, Marv? Of the movie?
Of Jack Frost.
Jack Frost, yeah.
I thought it was a nice idea, but there's something about the fact that all the way through that film, you know that he's going to melt, and it's a sad ending, and it's like, oh, you know that throughout the film. so there's a darkness there all the way right through the film from beginning to end, because you know that's how it's going to end.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect. That's perfect. I think that was like the movie that like did it for Michael Keaton, wasn't it? That was like his like one of his last movies that he did.
I think that was the first, should we say, renaissance or whatever for Michael Keaton. I think that was in that first era of his perfect era, you know, with the run of the Batman film and Beetlejuice up to Jack Frost. I think he was on a really good trajectory around there, even in that one, Multiplicity, as well. I think that's an underrated comedy. I think he's brilliant in that as well. But you've got a lot of roles there where he's playing something different, so he's showing a diversity, and I think that really did him a lot of favors.
He wasn't really like typecasted at all in Hollywood, like that he did. Like you said, he had a wide range of just acting capability, that he can be like a zombie ghost person, and then he can be a snowman. Who else is a snowman? Who can play a snowman? Michael Keaton.
Oh, and I forgot you got Pacific Heights as well, where he was a a nasty man in the Pacific Heights.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
I haven't
forgot about that one.
Yeah. Very, very scary, almost psychopathic man in that. Complete contrast to that, which reminds me of somebody like Robin Williams, where, you know, initially when he went into acting, people would think of him as the comedy man. But then as his career went, his dramatic range was incredible.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that wasn't him. That was a different actor. Never mind.
What's that?
All I can remember are just comedies. But that's just me.
Well, you got 24-hour photo, haven't you? Where he was the person who worked behind the counter of the photo shopped into, and
he was.
That's nasty, awful in that.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones that I seen where he was a kind of like antagonist. He was a bad person.
And then Moscow over the Hudson, is it, where he was the Russian person that had moved to New York?
Mm.
Wait, he played a Russian?
Yeah, Moscow over the Hudson.
Yep. That is a really good role. And beginnings as well, where he plays that doctor.
Final Cut. That was kind of that thriller suspense horror movie.
Yeah.
Where he was, you know, where in the future they put the microchips, I think they put them in people's heads, and his job was to take all the information that happened during their life and to make basically video montages of their life.
Yeah. That is a really good film. We've seen that, The Final Cut.
Yeah, that was just like, wow. And it's a great, kind of like a warning film about, you know, modern technology and all the crazy things. It's a very, you know, it's a darker movie, a lot like, kind of in the way of Minority Report, you know, where they were able to discover what somebody might transpire to do, even though they haven't done it. Here they get incarcerated for crimes they haven't even yet to commit.
Yeah.
You know, Final Cut's in that kind of a vein. It's not that same story, but it's in that kind of a darker vein. It's like, wow, I did not expect that with Robin Williams as the lead character at all.
Because, of course, Robin Williams, you'd think to yourself, oh, Mrs. Doubtfire, you know, going really back, you'd think Mork and Mindy, which is, you know, classic television. and Jumanji, and they're again, like with Michael Keaton, you got somebody who can do so much and has so much versatility in his acting.
Wide range.
Yes. Yep. Wow, we're covering all the bases here, aren't we?
Yeah, that was the good rabbit trail there.
Absolutely. Yeah. What was another honourable mention as well? I was going to mention The Holiday, with is it Cameron Diaz?
So it's not a Hallmark movie.
It's not a Hallmark movie. No, The Holiday. No, it's Jack Black, Cameron Diaz.
The Mask?
Jude Law.
No, Kate Winslet, right?
Kate
she was
Winslet,
in that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Jude Law. I think you just mentioned him already.
Yep. Jack Black and Cameron Diaz. Yeah, where they basically house swap, don't they, or something? And one goes from one little cottage in England, goes over to Cameron Diaz's LA condo or whatever, and she ends up going to her little cottage, and they sort their lives out because they're both having problems with their lives or something.
Yeah. Even though it's called The Holiday, I guess I never really pictured that one in the vein of thinking of it as a Christmas movie, and I guess it's just the way I frame it in my head. But
it is based at Christmas. They get they're both in different countries over Christmas, and yeah. It's a bit like people see Die Hard as a Christmas film, don't they? And Lethal Weapon, I suppose.
Yeah, for me, saying Die Hard's a Christmas movie is just a great way to spark a conversation with people sometimes.
Yeah, or to start a fire.
Exactly. Although I did like the bad guy falling from the top of the plaza, and he slowly goes down day by day as an advent calendar, kind of hilarious.
That's brilliant. I've not seen that. That's great.
Yeah, it's like a 6 foot tall, statue of the plaza, and every day you get to move him down that much closer to the ground.
That's great.
Nakatomi Plaza, I think, is that what they call it? Nakatomi Plaza. Yeah.
Which I think somebody told me is Fox TV offices, is it, or something?
Oh, wow.
They told me. Yeah. I think somebody mentioned that. I think it was mentioned on that Real Blend podcast that I listened to, because two of them work for Fox TV News, I think, as anchors.
Huh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because one of them said that, with Die Hard being one of their favourite films, they showed up there and it was like, whoa, I'm at Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah. That it's, in Los Angeles, California, it's the head. Yeah, it's Fox Plaza, the main headquarters of 20th Century Fox. Now,
there you go. Yeah.
Now yet another House of Mouse.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And still they won't put any of the Fox films on Disney Plus.
No, not at all.
Anyway, I think we've got a good show there. Yay, I can make something out of that. So, once again, Dave, for the second time today.
Marv, thank you.
Okay, tell people all about your new show, how they can find it, and how they can get in touch with yourself.
Absolutely. You can find Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast. Our homepage is decibolic.com. That's DECIBOLIC.com. From there, you can sign up for my newsletter. You can go out to my Instagram and Facebook and other social media pages. You can also find Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast, on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor FM, other great podcasting stations, and soon coming to iHeartRadio and Google Play. You can reach me directly if you'd like to at info@decibolic.com. Again, that's info@decibolic.com, DECIBOLIC.com. No money, just savings, and whatever else Dennis used to say on his show, Dennis Miller. Always be closing if you want the knife set.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Gil, let everybody know how they can get hold of you and how they can find the Mindbuzz.
Hey everyone, this is Gil with the Mindbuzz Podcast. conversations on mind culture, society, occasional bad jokes, and Christmas stuff. You can reach me on Spotify. You can reach me on Apple Podcasts. And I do post a lot of cool stuff on Instagram. I have book mentions in there, mostly on self-development and how self-development really changes our culture. And it's some pretty good stuff on there. Mindbuzz Podcast on Spotify and coming to YouTube soon. So we got a lot of great things going on over there on the Instagram. And Marv, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Dave. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us. Now we're going to do something very strange so that I can make an episode out of this, and I'm going to do the intro.
Right. That's right, because we just had a conversation and Gil joined us, which was great.
That's
Made it
brilliant.
happen.
Yes. Okay. Here we go.
There we go.
Hey there, Dave.
Hey, Martin. Like I can hear myself.
Why can't I hear you? That's strange.
We got
there
on
we
your
go.
side? Oh,
Yep.
Excellent. Yay.
Yay.
Oh,
this will be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. How did...
Talking about films with no film podcasters.
Well, you know, it's all right. I ran a 440 relay without any real runners, and we finished 10 seconds short of the state best, the state whatever they call that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yes, the state record for the state of Michigan for best runners. No, it's 2 seconds. It wasn't 10 seconds.
Oh, that's
So
good.
yeah, I'm like, well, dang. And we're not even ready for this. We're all shot putters and discus throwers in this group.
Wow.
So so we're all like, you know, top heavy, I guess you could say, but it worked.
Well, you've seen Cool Runnings. They still did pretty well.
Right? Yeah. So, you know, there's always hope. Oh man. Yeah, I just finished doing dinner for the family and ran back downstairs.
I have just finished eating myself.
Oh, nice.
Really tasty.
Fish and chips.
Ah, yeah. No, well, I guess we've both done our staples for where we are. Burgers and fries for the family here tonight.
Oh, you've had burger and fries. Nice.
Yeah. I've worked out quite well. I do fries for the rest of the family. Do gnocchi for my wife. She loves gnocchi, and then I grab myself a bag of my protein chips.
Yes, Louise, my other half, she's been thinking about making her own gnocchi before now.
I'll have a batch sometime.
Yes.
I need to do pasta as well. I've got a new machine.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's talking at the side of me.
I'm a bit terrified.
Nothing wrong with that.
The wonders of having the show in the living room.
Is he a food?
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, one of the things that happened with we moved just over a year ago to the house we're in now,
Yeah.
and one of the things that we agreed with was there was going to be a place for my stuff that could be just mine and wouldn't continually be invaded by a child wanting their own room.
Yes. Yeah.
So fortunately, the gentleman who owned this was a Well, he was a maintenance man by trade, step up from janitor. So he took incredible care of the house, built it in 1971, and, upgraded everything about every 6 months inside. And what used to be his workroom is now my workroom / studio / office.
That's cool. I've always wanted a room like that where you could just do your thing out of the way of everybody else.
Right, yeah. I was very, very fortunate for that to finally happen. So the only downside is I am directly below the living room. So if somebody walks too heavily, I can hear it. But thanks to technology, it doesn't seem to show up as badly in the recordings.
Get yourself the right microphone. I mean, I need to sort this out, really. I'm going to experiment with putting one of my interfaces in and plug probably a 57 or something in and see how that works.
Well, yeah, I mean, both of Shure's next level up microphones for podcasting are both use the same element as a 57 or a 58.
Yeah,
it's just the housing and the grill that makes a little bit of difference in the sound characteristics. So, like they're what they call the SM7B, which is like, I guess, the podcast mic of choice, is the same identical capsule to a regular SM57, just with whatever is in the body. It makes the difference in whatever they've done inside that they don't talk about. And that's it.
I too worked at a music shop for a short while.
Oh, okay.
But I think they got fed up of me not actually working and playing the instruments.
That's fair.
It's terrible because I used to go away from where I was supposed to be doing the work, and I used to just get and find my way towards the keyboard and have a go at the old like the Roland, the Junos and the DX, whatever, and I couldn't stay away from them. And they were, after about 3 weeks, they were like, you know, you don't do any work whatsoever. Sod off.
Oh yeah. I was working in a warehouse for what they call a catalog showroom, which is basically a place where they show off all the stuff in the catalog. But I worked in the warehouse where you'd actually get the product for the customer.
Yeah.
And a small music shop, mom and pop shop, upgraded from a space that was about the size of what I'm in now for a basement to a little bit bigger. And they were right across the road. So this little four lane road was between me and that and about a 100-yard parking lot. So I would run across that every break and every lunch period asking questions because I wanted to build my own electric guitar from the ground up. And I'm asking questions about this and that and the other, and can you get this? And after about the 7th or 8th time I'm in there, he's like, you seem to know a little bit about this. How about I pay you 50 cents more an hour than they're paying you right now, and you come work for me?
Wow.
So that was the next hook in.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, usually they go into real estate at this point.
Yeah. Unless your name's Rod Adultery out of the Who, because he owns his own fishery.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that. Why didn't I know that?
He just doesn't he do salmon fishing or something? Hasn't he got his own salmon farm or something? I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think
it could be. I remember he was a very popular guest actor on the television show The Highlander.
Oh yes, yeah. He's been in a few films, hasn't he? Yeah.
Him and the first real musicians that I really noticed in a lot of shows like that were him and Gene Simmons. Speaking of Kiss earlier.
Yes, Gene Simmons. Yeah, of course. You just reminded me of the film. Was it Runaway or something with Tom Selleck and?
Yes,
Gene
the
Simmons
Runaway.
is in
Yes.
that. Oh dear me.
That's the one.
Gene Simmons could teach William Shatner how to hammer act so well.
Oh, no kidding. William Shatner, I read an interview with him where he said he has never watched a single show that he has acted in. He says, I do it and I refuse to watch it. I just don't want to see myself. And I'm like, wow.
Which is terrible because I've seen most of them.
Right. Yeah, same here.
I've seen all the Star Treks. I've seen all of the TJ Hookers back in the day, and
Oh yeah, I remember watching that when it was on.
Episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I even tried watching that show that he did based on his little version of Star Trek called Tech Wars.
Yes, and I've read the books and the comics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, here we go. While I was waiting, I looked up Roger Daltrey, Holmhurst Manor.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, in Sussex. That's the one he owns. Huh.
Is anybody else turning up?
Right. Glenn Fry from the Eagles.
Yep, heat is on.
Yeah, Sonny Bono.
Yep.
Of Sonny and Cher.
He made that solo up on the spot, you know. The heat is on. Glenn Fry.
That wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, that would not surprise me.
Apparently, Harold Faltermeyer, who wrote it and did the soundtrack for the film, he was saying that he got like all the musical backing, and he just wanted Glenn Fry because he's a huge fan of the Eagles. So he got hold of Glenn Fry, and Glenn Fry appeared, and Harold only wanted him to do vocal, and he appeared with his I think Stratocaster and this an Fender Deluxe amp or something,
mm-hmm.
and he listened, and he's there, and he said. And he goes, right, he says, I'll go and set up now. He listened to it once, and he says, I'll set up now, and then I'll be ready. And they were like, and he set his guitar up as well with an amp. And Harold's thinking, what's going on here like this? And the engineer, put a mic about 5 feet away, 10 feet away from the amp. Yeah. And he had the amp really sort of loud. And they put like things around him to sing. And he stood there doing the singing and the guitar part at the same time, live in the first take. That song.
That is so killer.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Yeah. They just put those things around him, to make sure that you didn't get the guitar onto the vocal mic. But he did both at the same time, and I just thought, I've always had respect for him for that, because I thought, wow, doing that in one go, after listening to the song once.
Yeah, especially that. I mean, that's somebody who's in their prime and has taken what they are doing seriously. That is just amazing. I mean, I can't even do that with my podcast. So
I'm going to show my age here, but my first use of a... well, no, actually, because we had apples at school, an Apple 32, I think it was called, or something. And then when I started work at a, this was back when I was 16, I think I started work at a newspaper, and they used to put the newspaper together, to design it. They used an old Mac back then, and I think that was 1987, I think, April.
Okay, yeah. So around well, that'd be after the era of the Apple IIe.
Yeah,
that was when they had other companies making Macs as well. I remember that. People made Power Macs.
Yeah.
They could use the same OS, but they were trying to compete with Microsoft at Microsoft's level. It's like, yeah, that's not a good thing to do.
No, but it was strange when I went there to work, because I thought it's weird, because they were using that to put the newspaper together basically in the design stage, but all the actual news pieces or items they were done on an Amstrad.
Okay.
Which I thought was really strange. Yeah. But,
yeah, they compile it in one and yet use another for piecing it together. Probably were using, what would that have been back then? Aldus PageMaker before it was Adobe.
That is, I think that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I used Aldus for a very short while before it became Adobe.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Wow. Well, thank you for inviting me to this chat. I've been really privileged and honored to be your guest today.
That's great. So, how were you introduced to podcasting? I might as well do a show with you. I might as well do your show.
Yeah. And I felt like the timing couldn't be better because, hey, come listen to this podcast here. Get a chance to hear some other podcast people you might really enjoy and get a quick flavor of me before my debut releases. I could have had it debut tomorrow, but I'm just like, I just want one more week because now I've been able to listen to it and I'm like, yeah, that level's a little low. That's a little mismatched.
Yeah,
I can go back and fix that really quick before it hits all the services. It's like minor things. I'm sure I'll listen to this again in a year, what I've done, and be like, how did I ever let that get out the door?
I know. Oh yeah, you said to me, weren't you? You were watching something or other, and you keep watching stuff for that long that it keeps saying to you, "Are you still watching Netflix?"
Nailed it. Yes, what are you going to do?
It's one of those things, isn't it, with the modern world? You know, now that you've got all this streaming, you wouldn't have had it before because you'd have to keep taking the disc out or the videos out.
Exactly. You've been on Netflix for 4 days. Are you still alive?
He says you've been on Netflix for 4 days. You still alive?
It's like TV, please. Are you still watching Netflix?
You know, one of these days I'm going to plug in 2 microphones and we can all just have a general chat that's not based on the show. Okay.
Why not?
Why not?
Absolutely.
So how many shows have you already got in the bag?
I have 2 in the bag. I have the third one almost in the bag. And then I have 2 more complete interviews that I've done. And I'm going to break them apart like I've done with this one.
Yep.
So that'll probably earn me another 6 to 7 shows. So I do it almost like a variety show.
Okay.
So rather than just having it be straight interview, I'll start off with a little deep shower thought, is what I call them. Like, you know, if a highway has shoulders, am I driving on the neck? You know, just dumb things like that. And, you know, just kind of a little icebreaker to get people like, what did he say? And hopefully just tune in a little bit once they've heard something absurd like that. And then I'll do like a travel tip, like, you know, airlines that I've enjoyed flying on. When do I fly versus when do I drive? What places have I enjoyed staying at or eating at or visiting when I'm in a certain area or a state in either in the U.S. or when I'm over in Toronto, in the greater Toronto area of Ontario, Canada. I do a little bit about, you know, my journey of making a podcast happen and what that's taken to do. And then eventually I'll get to an interview, or in the case of my pilot episode, a really corny dramatization of a microphone shootout.
Right. Okay.
So I set it so when you get a chance to listen to that pilot episode I sent you the link to on SoundCloud, the microphone shootout is somewhere between the WWF and an MMA fight.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, complete with me doing a couple different voices just to make it more interesting to listen to.
I don't think anybody seems to want to be joining this conversation.
I'm like, what? Did they think it was like an hour later or something?
I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. I don't know if you both noticed, but I'm doing an off-the-cuff show here.
Right. It's kind of where it started at. So I'm like, oh, you know, might as well.
Might as well go with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, it becomes an episode, and then the Christmas part's the bonus, or vice versa.
That's it. I'm going to have all this Christmas chat in there and make an episode out of it.
What
Go on.
What did I miss?
What's that, Gil?
What did I miss coming?
Oh. We were just doing general chit chat, and then all of a sudden, just before you came in, I asked Dave about, you know, what he remembers from Christmases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so literally your timing for what you were talking about is perfect. We're just like, just get a chance to chat and see who comes in and when they come in and take it from there.
Yep. Dave was talking about sledding when he was a kid, and then I said to him, what a bit like Clark Griswold in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, and then I
Sledding,
relate a little story about running into some piles of wood in my backyard.
Oh,
that's really strange. It's almost like making a film. film the beginning at the end.
I hear that.
At least we have like a good. I mean, the last podcast that we did, Marv, was just excellent. Just the way that you finessed, some clips that we had in our conversation, and you like spotted them perfectly within the conversation, which was just it was immaculate. I was blown away on how cool that whole thing worked out, because we did a few separate takes, and just it was amazing. It was great, considering we had some technical difficulty getting into. But all in all, that was just a great job. It was awesome. I appreciate it.
To give Dave a bit of background on that. So the first initial recording, which was supposed to be just the show normally, we had some issues, or I had some issues with the internet, which caused timing issues. I think we had a problem with being able to fit it in. So we basically got the basic gist of what Gil's show was about, and basically answer the questions, the basics.
Yeah.
And then on another set, and about 2 weeks later, we did a catch up where we filled in little bits where we touched on subjects that were brought up during that to make it more conversational.
Right.
Oh.
And
nice.
then I edited it together into a big conversational episode.
It was amazing. Like he recorded the two separate sessions. One of the sessions, actually, I just come out of the dentist, and like some part of my face was numb, and we're talking, and I'm like, this is not a good idea for me to do if I can't feel my face. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep going. This is what I do. So we went through it, and then after we did the podcast, and then he put it on all the platforms, and I listened to it, and it was amazing. Like it was great. Like you finessed it. It was awesome, and I can't wait to listen to this one, because just how you finessed the other ones, it's gonna be awesome. I'm pretty stoked. Can't wait to hear this one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's cool to hear. Awesome.
Anyway, with these two shows, I've not been to the toilet for about 6 hours, so I'm going to go now, and I'll chat to you two again soon.
You, Marv.
Good.
Thanks for this. I'll catch up with you both very soon about recording with you both again. Okay?
Thank you,
guys.
Gil, it was great to meet you. Thank you.
Dave, we'll see you. Bye.
I'll talk to you before Christmas, but have a great Christmas if I don't. Take care.
Oh,
excellent.
Bye.